Good morning. This is the Great Basin smoke dispersion briefing for Friday, December 18th. Precipitation past 7 days. We did have a fair amount across the central and northern portions of the Great Basin, quite a bit across the Sierra and much of California and the Pacific Northwest. On the right-hand side, for that 7-day period, you can see how it relates to below normal precipitation areas in the red, basically less than 10% of normal for that weekly period, above normal for the week in the bluish and purplish shades. You can see most of the Great Basin was on the below normal side, and it's been the story for much of this winter. Recent snowfall, last 72 hours on the left, you can see significant amounts across the higher terrain of the Great Basin, all the way from Utah, Nevada, up into the mountains of central Idaho and western Wyoming, areas in the gold, anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow. Snow cover on the map has definitely gotten more expansive, covering about 2/3 of the Great Basin, everywhere except for the southern third of Nevada. Our 100-hour fuels, you can see how dry things continue to be across the southern areas, and this is the 1,000-hour fuel here. Drought continues, exceptional drought in the dark red, extreme drought in the red. So basically for the southern half of the Great Basin, we continue with drought conditions as we go into the end of the year. Satellite imagery shows trough low pressure, which produced some snowfall across parts of the Great Basin yesterday, now moving out into Colorado. We'll have a weak ridge of high pressure building in behind it, another storm system pushing into the Pacific Northwest, things getting a little bit more active. Here's the upper level map for this afternoon. On the left, you can see the high pressure ridge building in, especially across the western Great Basin. There'll be significant warming to go along with the drying. A weak cold frontal passage could produce some light sprinkles or snow flurries across parts of Idaho. Ventilation or smoke dispersion index on the right, best conditions further to the south. Looking at transport winds, they'll be strongest across southern areas, northerly winds anywhere 10 to 20 miles per hour to transport level, mixing heights down south several thousand feet above ground level. You can see long-lasting inversions, however, across parts of northern Utah, as well as northern Nevada and the Snake River Plain. Saturday, a storm system pushes into the Pacific Northwest and approaches western Idaho. A little deceptive on the smoke dispersion index. Clouds tend to hold in and prevent some good vertical mixing, but the winds, transport winds, starting to pick up a little bit across our northern areas, not much. Light winds further south. You can see some of the mixing heights quite low here across the western Great Basin, some of the high clouds keeping the morning inversions during these long nights kept in place. Similar story on Sunday, high pressure building into the western portion of the Great Basin from California. Still a stream of moisture clouds and light precipitation over the far north. Dispersion starts to go downhill pretty quickly in most areas with that high pressure. Light transport winds, poor mixing heights in most areas. 3-day precipitation totals will be some moderate precipitation across parts of the higher terrain of Idaho. Very little, though, once you head further south. No significant precip the next 3 days. And then looking down the road to next week and see high pressure and dry air in these tannish shades over most of the Great Basin. There'll be another storm system dropping down into the Pacific Northwest. You see the overall dispersion on the right-hand side, not that great, except for some southern areas, but improves as we go further down the road to Tuesday. High pressure building in, strong northerly wind flow pattern or northwest wind flow pattern pushing into the Great Basin, and then high pressure starts settling in on Wednesday. And then Christmas Eve, the high pressure is still in place, but shifting further across the eastern portion of the Great Basin. Weak trough of low pressure pushing into California. Another cold front offshore. This could combine to maybe produce a precip event later on Christmas Day or into that following weekend. But until then, mostly dry. Weather continues across most of the Great Basin. Just some light precipitation amounts. This will be Tuesday and Wednesday and into early Thursday. And then the 8 to 14-day outlook. Near normal, temperatures maybe slightly above, drier than normal, conditions continue across the south, wetter than normal across the northern half of the Great Basin. It's been the story, same story the past few weeks and the past few months. This concludes our smoke briefing. We will be taking a hiatus for the holidays, the Christmas holidays, and we'll be returning back on January 4th. Have a great day.